Morning, Smartdoll crochet time. I think you can see what we've got here. Shitosi is modelling our little panda hat here. It is quite a simple little hat to make, and it's one that you can sort of put variations on as well. So it's sort of basic hat with the little bits of details. So I'm going to pop her out of the way because 2 seconds ago when I tried to start filming, she caught the wire on the microphone, so it was a little bit in the way. So I'm going to move her completely out so you can just see her, maybe see her there. So she's still staying in view. There she is. Right, so we're doing this in a double knit yarn. I'm using my favourite white with the slight glitter in, but please remember this is a baby glit, so it is that tiny weeny bit sort of finer than a double knit wool. Not too much, but it is a little bit finer. So watch that for your count. The only thing that'll make a difference on is maybe the distance here. I have a little bit of black. I really need to order some more black. That is the last bit of black double knit yarn I've got. And it's amazing how many times you do use it, even if it's just for little accessories and things like that. So I do need to get some more. I partially did some. I've done an ear and I've done an eye. I've used 2 beads for the eyes. You could use little buttons if you wanted to. I have a stitch marker, I have a wool needle and a sewing needle already with some yarn, some cotton should I say, for the bead, and obviously my little needle minder there. I am going to be using a 3mm hook today. Sometimes I use a 3.5, sometimes a 3. Just makes it a little bit finer if you use the 3 with the double knit, even though it's not a usual hook to use for that yarn. Obviously got my scissors. I think I've actually got everything here today. I've actually got some hand cream as well. I was saying yesterday, for those who watch my other videos, my hands are incredibly sore because of all sort of the hand sanitizers, etc. But I found this one yesterday and I must admit it's been a bit better already. I know Vaseline was a good brand, but this is a hand cream and an anti-bac. Don't know whether it's good as just using a sanitizer. It's probably not, so I will still use both. Just checking what the ingredients are. It doesn't really, well, there's a long list, you don't want to see that, but it's quite good, so I'm quite impressed with that. So put that to one side. That's nothing to do with what we're doing today. We are making panda hats, so we're going to get going with the white. The black will be difficult to see, I'm warning you now. I will try and make it as clear as possible. There are not many rounds on it though, so hopefully it won't be too bad. So let's get this on to the hook. It is an amigurumi style, so I've put my slip knot on the hook and I'm going to do my 2 chain, or if you prefer, your magic loop or magic ring. I've seen it different versions, I'm not sure. It's not one I get on with, so I've not really used it. So I'm going to do 6 double crochets. That's 1, UK terms, remember. That is 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So we have our 6 double crochets. We're going to do very much like nearly every amigurumi piece does. We're going to go 2 double crochets into every single one of those 6. So picking it up, and it's 2 in that first one, 2 in the second one, 2 in the third one, in the fourth, and the fifth, and just one more that's going to have 2 double crochets in for a minute. And I just stop because I just want to tighten up that slip knot to make sure that's nice and tight for the top of the head. Now that's now given us 12. We're going to do it again, like quite often I do with this. We're going to do 2 in every single one. So off we go. So this is 2 in every 12 of the DCs we've got. So it should give us 24 stitches. So that's our second. That's our third. Number 4. Number 5, number 6, that's halfway, we've got another 6 to go, 6, so number 7, number 8, number 9, and my wool's got stuck, there we go, number 9 that was, wasn't it, number 10, 2 more to go, number 11 and number 12. So we now have 24 double crochets around. We're going to do a little bit more of an increase, but we're going to change our stitch. I'm going to have to unwind this yarn a bit because it's just sticking all the time and I don't know why it's sticking. Why are you sticking? Oh, I think we've got to, you know, when you get towards the end of a ball, you end up with two ends coming out, and I think that is what I've got. So I might end up getting a bit cross with this as it tangles. Hopefully it won't tangle too much. We will work with it. I will sort it out. Right, so I've pulled a little bit out anyway, so that gets us going. We're actually going to move into doing half trebles, but I'm still going to keep it amigurumi style, which people don't usually do, but I find the half treble it will work with. So I'm going to take my tiny stitch marker for a start. This is my little Game Boy one. That's so cute. I'm going to pop that one in there, or not. It's going to be one of them days, I know it is. In we go. So I'm actually now going to change to half trebles. And yes, you can do it amigurumi style. So there's going to be no joins, there's going to be no stop starts. It's just going to be continual. That is why I've put this in, because we really do need to know where we started. But we're going to do some increases. So I'm going to go straight in with 2 half trebles. Now remember a half treble. I'll start that again. If you're not sure, yarn around into the hole, pull it through. We have the 3 on the hook, but to make this a half treble, we're going to pull it just through all 3. That's a half treble. I'll do it again, and we're going to do it in the same space because I want 2 half trebles in the same space there. Yarn round into the space, pull it through, 3 on the hook, and pull it through all 3. So that's an increase that I've just done as well. We are now going to do 2 half trebles, but 1 in each of the next 2, should I say. So 1, 2, yeah, half trebles. This is all half trebles now. 1, 2. All right, I'm not sure I made that quite clear. So what I'm going to do is 2 half trebles, 1, 1. Yeah, 2 half trebles, 1, 1. So we're increasing every 3. So this is a 2, 1 and 2 in the same one, and then 2 separate ones, 1 and 2. Yeah. Now there will be a pattern going up on this. Give me an hour or so. I am aiming to get it up today, but I was wanting to finish another hat that I'm making with the Smartdoll to put up as a pattern. So I've nearly finished it. So if I can get it finished in the next couple of hours, I can put them both on together. Right, so 2 in this next one, 2 half trebles, 1, 2 in the same hole, and then got to stop saying the word single. Individual half trebles, a 1 and a 1. Okay, so I'll speed up a little bit. I'm hoping you've got that. So 2 in that one, 1 in the next 2. Yeah, so we're getting an increase. 2 in the next one, 1 in the next 2. We're almost round. After a bit we don't need to worry about doing that. It's just going to be straight going round and round. 2 in this one, and 1 and a 1. You're almost there. We have 2, we have a 1, we have a 1. Last time we have a 2 in that one, then we're going to have a 1 and a 1. Now don't worry the fact you can't really see the start. It is there, it is there. That would be our first half treble there, so it is there. So just use the stitch marker. Don't worry about stopping and starting, just carry on round. This wool's going to get really tangled, I know it is. Right, we're now going to do just a half treble round, just 1 half treble in every single stitch. So off we go. We should have 32 stitches. I'm not going to count. I'm going to just trust my stitch marker that I have the 32, because in a second I'm going to have to stop and untangle this wool. I can see the other bit coming out. Can you see it's starting to twist? Let's have a little clear of it. Let's pull a little bit out. There we go, it's a little bit better. So we're just doing that 1 half treble into every stitch around to our stitch marker. So you can see it's starting to get bigger. I decided to do half trebles. You could do it in just double crochets. You would have to do more increases though. Ultimately your increases need to get to about 48 stitches. With this, sometimes if it's a smaller stitch it needs more, but usually 48 is an average I've found before I start to go straight. So we're just doing this one half treble. I like half trebles when you get into the flow of them. When you've not been doing them for a while, they usually end up a bit clumsy, or I try end up doing it as a treble, but it's not. They're just half trebles all the way around. We're nearly there. We've nearly got another lump of yarn coming up as well. I'll wait until we get round and then I'll do it. Let's have a look where my stitch marker is. I think one more. And then we're going to have to sort this yarn out. As I say, it's literally, I don't know what yarn, depending on where you are, how your yarn is wound, etc. But what you find is some people start from the centre of a ball. I can't do that for some reason. I always end up saying that. I end up with it like this. I always start from the outside. But what's happened here is the outside piece is rolling, but the inside, because the wall's gone like really soggy now, is also coming out, and that is what's tied around it. And without me cutting it, which I don't really want to do, I've got to faff about, I'm afraid. All right, I'm going to pinch the hat off Chitosy a moment. So that's it. I've got hat hair now, missus. So here we are. I can see the panda a little bit better. So we're just working on this section at the moment. So I'll pop the hat there so you can still see it. And we're going to be doing another increase round. This time it's going to be 2 half trebles in one, and then 1, 2, 3 half trebles. Okay, I'm going to move my stitch marker up a little bit because it does change. Don't forget to move it up, otherwise your measurements won't work. So off we go. 2 half trebles in our first one, 1 in each of the next 3. 1, 2 and 3, and we're going to repeat that combination all the way around. So 2 in the next one. Well, if I can get the stitch in. There we go. 1 and 2, and 1 in each of the next 3. 1, 2 and 3. Off we go again. 2 in the next one, and 1 in the next 3. 1, 2 and 3. Off we go again. 2 in the next one, 1 in the next 3. 1, 2 and 3. If you want to count this, it should give you 8 of these combinations, but say I'm just relying on my stitch marker rather than counting too much. So that's a 2, and then we want a 1, 1. Oh, got a bit of black fluff in there from the black wool, and 3. 2 in the next one. I don't like working with black. I like the results of black. I like the items that you would make with black, but I don't like working with it unless you've got an exceptional light. So 2 in that one. 1, 2 and 3. 2 in the next one. And then 1, 2, 3. 1, 2 and 3. We now should have, let me double check what I've got. We should have 40 stitches there. We've still got a bit of an increase. There's going to be another increase round to come yet, but this next one is just 1 half treble in every single stitch. So off we go. 1, I don't know what I'm counting for. Oh, can you see that one split there? Can you see the little bit of a split there? So I'm taking it out. Because this has got a filament in as well, you do get that split of yarn sometimes. As much as I love it, but be careful because it will do that. And it's not worth carrying on when it's the sake of taking 1 stitch out. Take that 1 stitch out and then carry on. It'll make your work look so much better. So off we go with just 1. It's done it again, haven't I? Dear, I do need to concentrate. Off we go. So it's just 1 half treble into every single one. Now I've made this hat because I think I mentioned on the Dolly video that I've just done the Monster High one, but if you don't follow those, obviously you're not going to know what I've said, so apologies if I'm repeating myself, but for you guys who just watch the crochet tutorials for the dolls, I've been a bit naughty and I've ordered myself, you know, I've been waiting for Gemini, the boy Smartdoll, and he's just not coming out at the moment. So I've been saving and because I'd carried on saving, I got a little bit more than I had originally established. I'm going to end up cutting this, I can see, because I'm not going to have time in front of you guys to sit and unpick it all. So anyway, I was saying I'd saved a little bit more and I was getting very impatient. I kept going on the site every day. Is it going to be there? I know I've signed up for an email alert, but still sort of no sign yet. I'm determined to get him. Oh, I really do hope he doesn't run out fast when he appears. But anyway, I got impatient and I started looking through, and I'd seen the Only the Brave that he does. If you know the Smartdolls, you'll know what that is. And I'm like, oh, shall I do it? Shan't I do it? You know, it's a risk because it's like a humongous blind bag, for want of a better word. It's a surprise doll. But then I thought, well, there's not enough price difference to warrant that risk, because what if it was a doll I didn't like? So I went on and looked at the actual dolls, and I found out the price difference really was not that big. I'll talk about this properly when I get her. But as a hint, again, I get her. I have gone and bought Infinity, who is an absolutely stunning redhead with purple eyes. Love her eyes so much. Very anime looking. She's not one of the semi-reals or anything like that. I like the anime look. So we just got round. So yes, so she's on her way. Let's get this increase round done before I keep chuntering on about the doll. We're going to carry on with the half trebles, but we're now going to do another 8 increases. So it's going to be 2 in the first one, and then 1, 2, 3 and 4. That's the combination. Okay, so we just carry on round. So 2 in the first one and 1 in the next 4. 1, or not because it's split. 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so we're going to do that again. 2 in the first one, 1 in the next 4, and ultimately you have 8 sets of those, so it increases by 8 by the time we get back to this stitch marker. So we have a 2 in this one. So anyway, I've been naughty and I have purchased her, and she should be through here on Tuesday. His new delivery system is amazing. And also something I noticed, particularly if you guys who don't watch the doll ones, there's a bit of information here. I'm finding, because he's using DHL, the custom charges are considerably less. I was really quite surprised when they sent it through. So she should be here soon. I'm getting distracted again, aren't I? This is a 2 next, isn't it? So I'm quite excited. So I decided to make the hat for her. I wanted to make some little bits sort of for when she arrived. I think that was 3. I hope that was 3. That's there. So 2 in this one. That wool's getting very annoying. So that was a 2, and then 1 in the next 4. Yep, so a 2 and a 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4, and a remove of the yarn again. I can see it out the corner of my eye as it's moving up. So it's taking me a little bit longer than anticipated because of that. So a 2 in this one and 1 in the next 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. A 2, a 1, 2, 3 and 4. We're nearly there. A 2 in this one. Then a 1, a 2, a 3 and a 4. Let me have a look if I think I'm near my stitch marker. Can you see my stitch markers there? So I do need to fit another one in because it sort of lines up there, because it goes on a slight angle, I'm afraid. Right, so we have a 2, and then we have a 1, 2, 3 and 4. This is what I said about the stitch markers. You'd be surprised how much it feels like they move. You'll have to try it one day. Just leave the stitch marker in where you very first started, and make sure you count every row, and after you get about 10 rows you'll see it's gone off on an angle. So we now have 48 stitches, I hope. With the amigurumi, while I'm talking, I'll just undo this a bit. You sort of get away with maybe one stitch. I wouldn't trust it to much more. Depending on your tension, when we get past another bit, I'd recommend you try it on your doll, because that can sort of vary as well. I'm just looking at this. I've got a chocolate orange somewhere. Isn't it quite a cute chocolate orange cover? I shouldn't say that, because that should be a separate pattern, shouldn't it? Right, off we go. We are now going to do just half treble rounds. And we are going to have 5 of them. So if you're wanting to skip forward now, this is the time. We're going to do 5 half treble rounds from using the stitch marker as a guide, and then we can try it on and see how long it is. So off we go, just half trebles. If I have been going too fast, please alter the settings on your system. You should be able to slow it down, although my voice sounds a bit weird, but at least you'd be able to see maybe a little bit more what my hands are doing. But or the other option is, I'm saying do 5 now, so just pause me, do your 5 and come back to me. That's sometimes an easier way of doing it, I don't know. Whichever works for you anyway. I've got my pen and paper next to me to mark my 5 off as well. So they're flowing quite nicely, these half trebles, but so they do catch occasionally. You don't, if you've got a half treble, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, and you're there and you're struggling to get it through all 3, don't overly worry. You can do 2 and then 1. It's the same stitch, but after a while you sort of just get used to pulling it through all 3. But depending on what yarn it is, sometimes I'll do the 2-1 thing, because it doesn't always want to play and go through. Mind you, don't about the black, I'm going to need some more of. I'm going to need some more of this white, aren't I, at some point. It is a lovely colour. That's white. I can say white's a lovely colour, I don't know. But because it's got the actual thread that goes through it, it's like an aurora borealis. So as you're working with it, I can see little tiny bits of pink, and I can see little bits of blue, and then just like a silver sort of shine to it. And it just gives it that extra kick. It's very rare, very, very rare I will work with a flat white. I like to have a little bit of sparkle in there. But it doesn't really matter. Whatever yarn you've got will work. I know I mentioned I didn't like working with black on here because you can't see it. I say I love it as a colour because it looks fab, but it doesn't show up very well for filming. And I know my mum mentioned, well, why not do a red panda? That's another alternative perhaps you could think about doing. Sort of maybe it's like an orangey brown sort of for a red panda, isn't it? I know it's not strictly the same sort of panda, but it's still within that sort of realm, isn't it? It's curling up a bit now. Right, where's my pen? Where's my pen? I need to mark it down. So that's 1 round, and I'm going to undo this a bit. You'll be glad if you fast forward, because you don't have to watch me do this bit. See, it's pulling through okay. It is going to jam at one point. I know it is, just to make my life difficult. Right, off we go. Just a half treble in every single one. I hope, even though if you might not watch the doll reviews with me, I hope you're going to join me when I open Infinity, so you can have a look at her, see what you think. She is one of the older dolls, but I've liked her from day one, and she's got this very much an innocent look about her face, and like I say, her eyes are real anime, and she's really cute. And she's actually in cinnamon as well. Now, I'm just trying to think, did I say my Gaia was cinnamon or is she tea? Remember the one that I got that was the boss grade, the one that you had to build yourself? I think she's tea, you know. I can't remember. So if that's the case, I haven't got a cinnamon. So it'll be interesting to see what colour it comes through as, because my Shitosi and Mirai Milk. So much for me saying, oh, I'm only going to have the 3 girls and then 1 boy. Wow, that didn't work, did it? Never mind. My excuse, I can do a video on it. But I still really want the other one to come out, but we may be waiting a little while, I think. It just says coming somewhat soon, whatever that means. Would have been handy if it come out at the same time, because I'd have saved on postage then as well. Right, we're almost round on our second round. Yeah, but I want to put a sort of, make some little sort of gifty things if I've got time before Tuesday, that is. We've got the hat, and then I can sort of do some shots, so, you know, with the girls having some gifts for her or something like that, so I can get some photographs done, which will look pretty cool. Right, push it round. As you can see, we've got the shape of the hat coming, so we've got a nice dome there. We're already halfway through, well, almost halfway through these rounds. This is the tedious bit, I know it is, but it's essential, unless you want a very short hat. So off we go again. This is round 3, and it keeps catching. We get past round 3, we are over halfway, so we are getting there. Don't know whether you do watch my other crochet videos. I've just done the little burger. I was saying about Christmas. I was supposed to be doing one for Christmas every month, thinking, oh, there's ages. We're in September. It is going too fast. And I don't know about yourselves, depending on where you are in the world, but our shops have started to get Christmas items in, which is exceptionally early. I know stores will do this and get Christmas things early, but what we find here usually, you'll see the supermarket starting to store Halloween things, so, and then within minutes after the Halloween, or even on the same night, you'll start seeing Christmas things going up. But we're not really seeing Halloween, apart from the odd bit, but we are seeing Christmas. Now, I don't know whether this is because of the virus. I don't know whether people are preempting, whether there be a second wave, depending on the country again that you're in, or whether they're anticipating people aren't really going to Halloween over here so much, because you know, people don't want their children knocking on people's doors, and you don't know whether, you know, they're passing things over. So, you know, it would be a bit of a hygiene nightmare, sort of having to sanitize your children's hands every time they've been to someone's house, and if they're older ones, they've gone out on their own as well. So, you know, this is something perhaps they're anticipating. There's going to be not as much Halloween, but perhaps Christmas early, because, well, not Christmas is going to be early, Christmas shopping and lists to Father Christmas perhaps have to get there a little bit earlier than usual, just in case. I know I'm certainly making my list for Father Christmas and sorting out various bits and pieces. I've even, some might find this sad, I have been buying foods that are not perishable, you know, tin things and custards, things like that, already, and some chocolates. Of course, you've got to have chocolates. So I've already started buying my Christmas food. Oh, that's terrible, isn't it? No, it's not. I'm being very organised. That's what I'm going to tell myself. Right, I'm now on round 4. We're getting there. As soon as the main body of the hat's done, there isn't much to do. I know obviously there's 2 ears, 2 eyes, and sort of the muzzle area. Oh, I nearly did a double crochet then. But they are literally a few rounds each. They are so quick. And I said rows, you had a round, whatever a round is. Cross between a row and a round. But they're literally very, very quick, even though I've done half already, because you don't need to watch me make 2 of each. I hope you like the other hat pattern I'm creating as well, but that'll be going on my website as a normal one. I'm not doing that as a tutorial because that one can get a little bit tedious to watch, and that will be working in rows. And it's going to be a pixie-esque type hat, and it has a nice little sort of frill around, well, a frill, perhaps a scallop is the word, around the front. I've made the hat, and it needs the ends sewing in. I've got to do a little decrease around the neck area and just the detail, and it's done. And I'm quite pleased with it, actually. Trying to decide whether to make a scarf to go with it, because the yarn I'm using for it, in fact, then I can reach the yarn. This is the blue. I'm working in the pink at the moment. This yarn is absolutely gorgeous. It is a dull knit yarn, but it is really, really soft. And that's what I'm working in the new hat pattern with. Been trying to think some Christmas ideas for the Smartdolls, actually, and it's a bit difficult unless it's something larger. I did the little Christmas stocking last year. Don't know if anyone saw it because I did it in the Vlogmas, and so it didn't sort of really come out as a Smartdoll one. I'm not quite sure. I suppose I could put the pattern up online. It's like a little Christmas stocking that would be not to wear but to put out, so it'll She can get some Christmas gifts. Right, that is for, got one more round, so let's just pull this out, out. It's not behaving too badly actually. I thought that was going to be worse. So off we go with our 5th, and hopefully, depending on when we fit it on her head, this is where you may need to do adjustments. If your work is very tight or if your work is very loose, it could make a difference. Or if you've done something that I've done before, and while you're doing this, slipped into doing trebles instead of half trebles. If you have, it will grow. You will end up with it quite long here. This will have already been quite a bit longer, but that might work in its own way. Do it as a little turn up, I suppose. So don't get rid of it. If you've done something wrong like that, it's not necessarily wrong. Wrong's the wrong word, if that makes sense. It is an inappropriate word for it. It is a difference. Try it, see what it's like. You might be able to do it with a turn back. You might be able to alter it. You might be able to stitch one side up of it and make a little cloche or something. There's lots of things you can do. So don't immediately get upset if you make an error or what you feel is an error compared with the original. Have a look what you can do with it. The amount of times I've made these misjudgments, whatever you want to call them, and I've looked at it and I'm like, oh, I don't know. But then I can see something else in it. And I think, well, actually, you know, I could use it for that. Or I could make a bag, or I don't know, there's all sorts of things. So try and think out of the box sometimes. Yeah, nearly there. Now I've done a black edge on this one. It is just one double crochet round. If you are a little worried regarding staining on your dolls, maybe leave it off, because I can't guarantee the yarn you've got isn't going to run. 90% of the yarns that are made now are really good. You won't have any staining issues. Very, very rare. I've not had any staining issues with any of mine. I do try and avoid dark yarns, especially if it's something I'm selling on, because I don't want other people sort of getting upset about it. Right, let's just have a quick check. Around your head there, Shatozy. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's not a bad fit at all. So because we're going to be moving on to double crochets, I'm going to make my last stitch a double crochet. There we go. And now we can cut that silly bit that's I've got to work it out again in a minute. And we're going to come back to using black. As I say, you will not be able to see the stitches very well because it is a dark colour and it's hard to see. Even when you're working yourself, let alone filming, it is difficult to see, so you have to have a good light. So what I'm going to do, I'm joining it this way, so I'm just going to pull it through that one, tighten that up, and off I go into just one double crochet into every stitch. This is a different type of yarn as well. I'm not sure what this one is. I was having to rummage through my boxes to find black. It's got quite a bit of fluff, it's hairy yarn, if that makes sense. I'm pretty sure it's not Stylecraft because of that, because the Stylecraft I usually use is pretty good for that. So I think I'm going to have to buy, I mean, it still works and it's still a nice wool, but you can tell it's a different brand. You can tell the brands when you're working with them. So I need to get some more, but I will get some Stylecraft, I think. To pop down to my friend's shop, see if she's got any of the black yarn in, and also she does do the glitz, so I can get myself a new ball of glitz as well. The glitz is the white I'm referring to. So it's just one double crochet into every one, and then we've actually finished the basic of the hat. So you'll see it's quite similar to a lot of beanies. It's nice basic sort of starting point for most hat designs you want to do. Almost round. I say it's not too bad watching the black like this because it's next to the white, so you probably be able to see it. It's when you've got to do X amount of rows, you just can't see it because you can't see the holes basically. Right, here we are, here we are. The last one into that one that I did is going to be a slip stitch. So I'm only just going to have enough black yarn there, aren't I? Right, make sure I get the right one there to pull through. Not the first time I'll have done that, so we pull it through. Now these two where I change the yarn, I'm going to tie them together as well. Ta-da! Take the stitch marker out, that's not required at all at any point. So we've now got a basic little hat there. So we're going to move on to the ears. I think the ears probably are the most sort of prominent feature on him. So we're using this yarn, we're making our slip knot, and we're going to do exactly the same as that, but a tiny version, tiny version. What's my phone just pinged at? I don't know. So we're going to do 2 chain. And into that first chain, this is what I'm saying, you're not going to be able to see this, so you're going to be relying more on what I'm saying rather than what I am doing. We are going to do 6 double crochets into this first ring. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. We now have 6 double crochets. We're now going to do 2 double crochets into every one of those 6 to get 12, and look how hard it is to see. So I'm hoping you're going to be okay with this. Like I say, you're going to have to sort of listen to me rather than watch me, I think. So it's 2 in every single one of them. So that's our second one, that's our third one, that's our fourth one, our fifth one, and that's our sixth one. Okay, so we have 12. Oh, we did have 12. We've got 12 stitches now. Pulling my slip stitch tight from previous, if I can get hold of it. There we are. And we're now going to do just double crochet rounds, but we have 4 of them. Again, it's going to be hard to see. I'm not going to put a stitch marker in. I'm going to count. You start to feel actually where the stitch is, but I say unfortunately for camera it doesn't work very well. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So that is 1 round. We have 4 in total, so we need 3 more. So what I'm going to do now is, because it's curving that way, I don't want it curving that way, I want it curving that way. So I've pushed it out a little bit, just make it slightly easier to see, not a huge amount. So off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So that's 2 rounds. Gets even worse when you're working in 4-ply to see it. I'm doing some little pandas at the moment. Unfortunately, I've just posted one yesterday, otherwise I'd have been able to show you. There is, again though, if you're a crocheter, there is a pattern for him. He's only this big. He was designed to go with a Cindy doll. So you'll see there's a Cindy doll on the pattern and this little tiny panda sat on him. I will be making some more. For those who don't crochet, I will be putting them on the site as well, but not just yet. But yeah, working in 4-ply black without a good light is not easy. Off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. We've got 1 more round and that's it. You finished his ear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12 and finish with a slip stitch, which you don't have to do, it's just something I like to do. So should have left that a little bit longer, would have helped. Leave some nice long ends, it helps when you're sewing them in. So that is an ear. We have 2 ears now. So I'm just going to pop that to one side. Let's get this black out of the way and then we can go on to white and give it sort of eyes a little bit of a rest. These are even quicker because, as you can see, these don't curve round, they're just a little circle, and all they're going to be is your 6 in 1 like we start with. So you're going to do your 2 chain and you're going to do 6 double crochets into that first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. We're now going to do 2 in each to give us 12. Then you're nearly done, to be honest. 1, 2 in each, you get 12 stitches then. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So now all we're going to do, which seems a bit weird, I know, but I wanted it to be slightly more oval. It's not worked that well actually when I've stitched it on, because I know I've gone and made it a little bit more circular. But what I wanted to do at the end here, I'm going to do 3 half trebles. 1, 2 and 3, and then in my last one a slip stitch, and fasten up when you've done. That is it. We can put that to one side. The only thing we're going to need a little bit of this black yarn for is the little V on the mouth. You could just do a little nose, it's however you want to do that. So I'm tightening all that up, and you see it gives it a slight ovally shape, not massively so, but just very slightly. Let's get back to this muzzle. Let's look on time. Actually, you know, I thought we were taking longer than we have. 41 minutes, that's not too bad at all. Right, let's see what's happening with this yarn. I don't think this yarn knows what's happening with it, but we only need a bit. And we're going to go off again with our 2 chain. We're going to have our 6 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay. We are now going to do 2 in each. So you can see it's all very familiar, isn't it? It all works on the same sort of idea. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 1 more, so now we have 12 stitches. I always say that, you know, I'd say that it's the last one and then I always go wrong, don't I? Right, that was the last one of the increases. We've now just got 2 rounds of double crochets, 1 double crochet into every single one of those 12 stitches. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. One more round and we're finished, apart from sewing up. So it didn't really take that long, did it? That was quite good. Here we go. Last 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12, and a little slip stitch to finish, or not. Slips. I told you every time I say I've finished it goes wrong. Right, I'm going to leave quite a long bit because I need to sew the muzzle on the face. So going to fasten that off. Now I actually sewed the facial features for the nose or mouth, I don't really want to call it a nose or a mouth, I'm not quite sure, first before I stitched it on, because I didn't want any black, and it's a tiny bit of black, can you see from the eyes, but I didn't want a lot of black showing through. So I thought wherever I can avoid it, I will. So we're going to take this little bit, we're going to take our wool needle, and we're going to sew a little mouth on. You Could do just a different nose. There's all sorts of different facial features. If you look sort of on, if you Google it, you'll see all these different shapes of faces. Right, we have a knot. Make sure it's a good knot. I'm going to start with that at the bottom when I sew him on, so I know where my bottom of it is. So I'm going to go in there. Make sure it's not going to pull through. And then I'm just going to go across and across, approximately even. Make sure you're happy with that. It looks like a smiley one, this one, compared with the other one. The other one's a little bit more V, but they've all got their own personality, which is another good thing. When you're hand making things like this, there is just no way. I'm just turning it the wrong way a little bit so I can just get another knot in there. Make sure it's not going to come undone. I'm going to do it again. My pet hate, or my pet fear, should I say, is my stuff coming open. So I'm inclined to really overdo it. Right, we'll cut it short because we don't want it showing through too much. I'm going to use that end there. I'm just going to roll it up and just put it in as a bit of stuffing. It just sort of gives it a little bit of a lift when we actually sew the detail on to it. So you can see we have our little muzzle. I'm going to look at the ears with you first because I think they're easy enough to sew on, but I want to just point out the positioning, because if you've got a hat here, you presume the ears are going to go there, but because of the shape of the doll's head, that is not the case. Most of these dolls have got proportionally quite large heads. So if you look, if I flatten this one, can you see I've actually brought the ears slightly forward, so you get this dip here. So this is a good way of me working out where I need my ears. So I think if I laid that one out, I did this one on the doll so I know where it fits right. So I know I've got this little under bit here. So I want the ears here and here. Now this ear, I'm only going to sew the one on for you. I already did, but what I actually did is I over sewed along here to make it solid. So there's no gap anymore. There is no space there. Well, if we look at this one, obviously it's open. We don't want that. I stitched it together. So then I'm going to take my needle, let's get rid of that bit of yarn off that. I'm going to be pushing it with the amount I've left there though. Always leave a long end. Sometimes I'm really good with it and other times I completely forget. Right, so I'm thinking about there. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping that flat and I'm keeping it like that. Yep. And I'm just going to over sew from that position. It shows less. If you try going all the way around, you will get stitch showing, and when you're working with such a contrasting colours like this, it can look messy. So by just doing it this way, right into that end bit, because you don't want a bit sort of sticking up, and I'm going to do a little knot, and when I fold it back, my ear is in a good place and it doesn't really show any stitching. It looks quite neat, so that's why I say I sew it up first. So I'm just going to do myself a second little knot, and I'm going to just push the yarn through the ear and back through the ear, just anchors it a little bit. So that is how I sew my ears on. So then obviously you can work out approximately where the other one is going. I'm not going to tediously sew all the pieces on for you. I'm sure you have your own methods of sewing on. So let's just take the muzzle then. I've got lots of ends to sew in. I do recommend you sew all these ends in before you get going, because they do get in the way. So obviously approximately central, maybe up 2 rows, something like that. You can decide sort of where you want it. And with this one, it's just the same way as I'd sew anything else on. The colour is almost identical. I'm sort of squashing that down and it helps a little bit. Well, the colour is identical. I'm alright saying it's almost identical. It is, it's the same yarn. See, this is why you should sew the ends in, because they get in the way. Let's keep his face over there. So I'm squashing it down because it holds it in place better, because otherwise it wiggles about and you'd be surprised how you don't realise, and you could end up with his nose further over or further up where you don't want it. So I'm just squashing it into place. Sometimes you can use a pin to hold something in place, but it's not really practical to do it on this side. Just having a quick check that I'm definitely on camera, because when I sew I bring my work closer to my body. I don't actually like sewing with it so far away. I feel like I concentrate more when it's a bit closer. We're almost there. So it's not been stuffed, but there's enough of that other yarn inside it just to give it a little bit of padding. So you don't want to, well, I don't want it stuck right out. Some people may want a really big muzzle sticking out. I just want a little bit so you can sort of see you're getting that sort of shape in there. Almost back to the beginning. And then, like with the other work, all I'm going to do is a little knot to finish it off. Nice and tight. Then I'm going to push it through and push it through again and snip. Looking good. So we have our little muzzle. I'm not so sure whether I've not done his mouth. A little lopsided. No, he's all right. He's all right. Now the eye. Now I'm going to use the one that I've already done. This is the one we've just made. Now I've got some sewing cotton here, and I have this little bead, and all I did was sew the bead a little bit higher up. Can you see I've not sewn it in the center? I've sewn it sort of higher up on him. So I've sewn that one in, and this is the one that we're going to place. So always place everything and decide where you want it. That's the bottom bit. I think that's about right. Some people like them sort of there, which is very cutesy when they're side by side. You may want them further apart, entirely up to you. I think it needs to be up to the nose because of the markings of a panda. I do think it does need to be close. So I'm actually not going to sew this piece on. I will sort of say to you though, be careful when you're sewing it on, because again you're going black on the white and it can show, so you do have to be careful. I'm not going to put them two on. I will put this on though. I wasn't going to, but I just realized there was something I wanted to say to you while I was doing it. Right, so I've decided there. Okay, I'll just do the start of it. I'm actually picking up the stitch a little bit under this, not out towards the side, and then I'm picking up only the top stitch. So I've gone slightly under to pick up. You'd be tempted to go over there, but that's when you'll see your stitches. So it's slightly under his body, then pick up the stitch. Body, I'm saying his eye. Slightly underneath, and then pick it up. As I say, if you're used to sewing things on, you'll have your own way of doing it. And again, it's trial and error the more you do. So I'm going to continue sewing that off screen because I don't think you need to see me doing that. But we can see we've got our little panda. Let's pop this back on Archie, even though she's not going to be keeping it. She can have a tiara back, which is what she's had on. And we will pack this one in a little bag for our new young lady coming as a little gift. So we have a panda hat. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. I do think pandas are adorable. And as I say, if you do, give me a few hours to get the patterns up. Maybe even leave it till tomorrow morning because I've got my granddaughter tonight. So it might be worth waiting a little bit longer. But I want to get the other one done so I can put you a couple of patterns on so you're not backwards and forwards in all the time. And again, if you're looking in regular patterns, because I've separated up my patterns now. So I have my Smartdoll patterns. And I think I've separated it up like that, and other. I've separated it up anyway, so please have a good look on the site so you know where you're looking for them. And if you're wanting to look for other dolls or the other little items, like little gifts, I'm actually going to put the Cindy Panda, I'm going to put on regular crochet because people don't have to have it for a doll. So if you're looking for that, you need to look on the other side. So once again, thank you very much for watching. Hope you continue to have a nice day, and I will see you very soon. Please like, subscribe and share. My numbers are getting there, and thank you very much for watching. I will see you all soon. Bye.